What would you do if the people closest to you, the ones you loved and trusted most, turned on you, trying to strip away your dignity, your fortune, and your very essence? This is a story of betrayal, emotional warfare, and the unexpected strength of a woman pushed to her breaking point. Join me as I take you through a journey of pain, revenge, and ultimately, redemption. Don't forget to comment where you're watching from. Let's dive in. I've spent the last few years of my life watching everything slip through my fingers. I'm 72 now, and I'm no stranger to the weight of loneliness. When I look in the mirror, I don't see the vibrant woman I once was, full of dreams and hopes for the future. No, instead, I see a tired woman. A woman shaped by the harshness of betrayal, by the endless stream of mistakes, regrets, and sacrifices that seem to follow me like a shadow. I live alone now, in a large, isolated mansion that no longer brings me joy. My ex-husband, John, and I built this house together. We were married for nearly 30 years, but the love we once had faded long ago, replaced by tension, accusations, and silence. He left when Samantha, my daughter, was still in her teens. She was angry with me back then, angry that I tried to protect her from that boy, the one who was so wrong for her. I didn't know it at the time, but he wasn't just trouble. He was the one thing that would shatter my relationship with her forever. Samantha went to live with her father after we divorced. She didn't want to be under my roof, not with all my rules and restrictions. She thought I was controlling, always telling her what to do, always trying to guide her in the right direction. That was the last time she truly needed me, and after that, she pulled away. She turned to John, who, I suppose, gave her everything she wanted, and I was left here, alone. I never thought she'd come back, ever. After all these years, I figured she was doing just fine with her father, living her life, getting into trouble on her own, far from my reach. But, as life often does, it threw me a curveball when Samantha came knocking on my door at the age of 33, with no job, no prospects, and no place to stay. She wanted to move back in, and I foolishly allowed it. She was different now, but the same in many ways. The girl I raised, the one who used to need me, had grown into someone I hardly recognized. She was careless, irresponsible, and completely dependent on me. Her presence, once comforting, now grating, was a reminder of my failures as a mother. And so I did what any mother would do. I tried to help. I let her borrow my car, my prized possession, hoping it might give her a sense of independence, some semblance of responsibility. I never expected what came next. It happened on a Friday night, just a week after I let her take the car. Samantha came home late, the car scraped up and dented. She was fine, but the vehicle was damaged. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said, but her tone was flat, not a hint of regret in her voice. I asked her what happened, but she barely looked at me as she walked past, heading upstairs without offering much of an explanation. I tried to stay calm. I really did. But when I went outside to inspect the damage, I felt my blood boil. I had worked my whole life for that car. Everything I had, every penny I earned, went into ensuring that I had a life of comfort and luxury. And there she was, treating it like it was nothing. I called after her, my voice shaking with frustration. "What the hell happened to the car, Samantha?" She stopped, turned around, and for the first time in a long while, looked me dead in the eye. "It's just a car, Mom. It's not like I wrecked my life." My heart dropped. "A car? You can't even take care of the simplest things. And you still don't get it. You're not a kid anymore, Samantha. It's time to grow up." She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "You're too controlling, you know that? I'm not a little girl anymore. Maybe you're the one who needs to change. Maybe you're the one who's getting old, who's losing it. Maybe you're the one who needs help." And then she stormed off. It was in that moment, staring at the dented side of my car, that I realized just how much I had lost. Not just the car, but my daughter. She didn't respect me anymore. She didn't care about me. And for what? Because I tried to protect her? Because I loved her too much? It felt like all of my years of sacrifice, of trying to keep her from falling into the same traps I had been in vain. I don't know what came over me after that conversation. I had put up with too much. For years, I let her get away with everything. She had manipulated me, guilt-tripped me, made me feel like I was the problem. But that was it. I wasn't going to be her doormat anymore. Not for her, not for anyone. That night, as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the weight of it all crushed me. I wasn't just angry. I was humiliated, heartbroken, and absolutely done. I had spent my whole life trying to make everyone around me happy, trying to fix everything that went wrong. But at what cost? Where was the respect for me? Where was the love? The next morning, I woke up with a new sense of clarity. A plan started to form in my mind, and I realized that the only way to regain control of my life, my happiness, was to make a bold move. A move that would not only shock Samantha, but also show her just how far I was willing to go to protect what was left of me. I knew what I had to do next. I didn't know how it would play out, but I was done playing the victim. It was time to take back control. The day after Samantha wrecked my car, I made a decision that changed everything. I had been trying to convince myself for years that maybe, just maybe, she would grow up, that things would get better. But I realized, in that quiet moment, as I stared out the window, that if I didn't take control of the situation now, I might lose myself entirely. I was tired of being treated like I was disposable, like I was the one who was always in the wrong. Samantha came downstairs later that morning, eyes still heavy from the night before, but she barely acknowledged me. Her usual nonchalance was in full effect. She was so used to getting away with everything. I couldn't stand it anymore. "Do you even care about this house?" I asked, my voice steely, my patience wearing thin. She turned to me, expression blank. "I care about getting a roof over my head," she muttered, grabbing a cup of coffee from the counter. "And what else? You come here, you wreck my car, and you don't even bat an eye. Do you understand how much that hurts, Samantha?" She paused, her eyes flickering with something between annoyance and guilt. But guilt didn't last long with Samantha. She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, please. You always do this. You act like everything's so important. It's just a car. It's just a little damage. Why are you so dramatic?" I felt a sharp pain in my chest. There it was again. She saw me as weak, as over-emotional, as someone she could push around. My anger rose, but I had to stay calm, had to stay focused. I couldn't let her turn the tables on me again. "Do you think that's all it is, Samantha?" I stood up, my voice steady but firm. "I work for everything I have. Everything in this house is here because I made it happen. And you come in here like you own the place, like I'm your personal ATM. I can't do this anymore. I'm done being your doormat." She looked at me, lips curling into a smirk. "So what? You're kicking me out? You're going to send me back to Dad? Do it then. I don't care." I shook my head, my heart aching at the coldness in her words. "No, Samantha. I'm giving you an ultimatum. You're staying here, and you're going to find a job. You're going to start taking responsibility for yourself. You're going to stop using me as your safety net." Her eyes widened slightly, and for a moment there was a flicker of surprise, maybe even fear. But then she crossed her arms, squaring her shoulders like she was ready for a fight. "And what if I don't? What will you do then, huh? You gonna put me out on the street?" I could feel the walls closing in around me, but I pushed through it. "If you don't get a job, Samantha, I'm selling this house. I'm moving to somewhere smaller, and I'll give you 1 month to figure it out, or you'll have to leave. I'm done supporting you like this. I've had enough." She stared at me, her lips pressed together in a thin line. I could see her mind working, processing my words. I wasn't sure if she believed me, or if she thought it was some empty threat, but I meant it. For the first time in a long time, I meant it. "You can't be serious," she said, shaking her head. "You're just saying that to control me, to make me feel small, but you're not going to do it. You love this house too much. You'll never sell it." "You're wrong," I said, my voice unwavering. "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me. I can't keep living like this, pretending that everything's fine when it's not." For the first time in years, I felt like I was standing my ground. I had no idea what would happen next, but I knew I couldn't keep letting her treat me like I was invisible, like I didn't matter. Samantha stood there silent for a moment. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away. I didn't know if she was angry, confused, or just indifferent, but I didn't care. I had said what needed to be said. Later that day, I made the call. I contacted a real estate agent and started the process of selling the house. The decision felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders, but also like a door slamming shut. I wasn't sure what I would do next. The house had been my home for so many years, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized how suffocating it had become. This house was full of memories, memories of a life that no longer fit the woman I was becoming. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened. The years of marriage, the long hours I spent working, the endless attempts to fix things that were broken. But nothing ever felt right. My daughter had become someone I didn't recognize. She was selfish, entitled, and didn't seem to care about anything beyond her own comfort. I couldn't let her keep walking all over me. I couldn't keep letting her destroy everything I'd worked for. But what hurt the most was that she didn't even see it. She didn't see me, didn't care about what I had sacrificed. And yet, she still expected me to give everything to her. I felt a fire building inside me, a resolve I hadn't felt in years. It was time to take control of my life again. I didn't know what was coming next, but I was done being passive. I wasn't going to let her or anyone else walk all over me anymore. As I closed my eyes, I realized something. This wasn't just about the house. It was about me reclaiming my power. And whatever came next, I was ready for it. But I had no idea that the storm was only just beginning. The days following my ultimatum felt like an avalanche, everything rushing downhill and threatening to crush me. Samantha barely spoke to me, retreating into her room as if I had never said a word. I knew she was angry, but she was always angry. That was her thing. She never liked being told what to do, never liked being held accountable. And yet, here I was, trying to do the one thing that could help her, force her to stand on her own 2 feet. It wasn't easy for me either. I had spent my entire life catering to the needs of others. John, Samantha, even my friends, who would call on me for advice or help, and I'd drop everything to be there. I was the one people relied on. But who relied on me? It was a bitter pill to swallow, realizing that I had never truly asked for anything in return. And now I was facing the consequences of that. Samantha's silence was a weapon, one she used with precision. She didn't need to say anything to make me feel like the villain. The way she avoided me, the way she refused to lift a finger around the house, it was a clear message. You don't matter, it seemed to say. But then, a week later, she made her move. John called me that evening, his voice gruff and tired, the tone instantly triggering a wave of frustration in my chest. We hadn't spoken much in recent years, aside from the occasional terse exchange over Samantha's well-being. I had always hoped that the separation between us was final, that he'd move on and leave me to do the same. But now he was on the line, and I could already hear the edge of concern in his voice. Marlene, we need to talk about Samantha, he said, his words deliberate. What about her? I replied, my patience already running thin. I've made my position clear, John. She's staying here under my roof, and she's going to get a job. I'm not a babysitter anymore. I know, but she's in a bad place, he said, his tone dropping into something more insistent. You're being hard on her. She's not the same person she used to be. She's struggling, Marlene. I think you need to reconsider your ultimatum. Struggling? I scoffed. She's 29 years old. She's not a child anymore. I've done everything I could for her, John. And look where we are now. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Marlene, you need to understand something. She's been saying some things about you. She's worried about you. She says you're losing it, that you're not thinking clearly anymore. And she wants to make sure you're okay. I felt my stomach churn. The familiar knot of anger twisted inside me. What the hell are you talking about? She thinks maybe you need professional help, he continued, his voice a little softer, but the words hitting like daggers. She's worried you're getting old. Marlene, you're not the woman you used to be. And maybe it's time for you to take a step back and get some help, for your own good. My hands shook as I gripped the phone tighter. I had heard this before, only it wasn't coming from her. This time, it was coming from him. The man who had left me, the man who had never understood my sacrifices, my struggles, the same man who had failed me in every way possible. You think I need help? I asked, my voice low and deadly quiet. After everything I've been through, everything I've done for that child, you think I need help? I'm just saying. Maybe it's time, John insisted. She's making plans to help you get the right care, Marlene. She just wants what's best for you. I wanted to scream, to throw the phone across the room, but I couldn't. I had to hold it together. I had to show him that I wasn't the frail, confused woman he thought I was, that I was still the woman who had built everything with my own hands. I'm fine, John. I don't need anyone's help, not yours, not Samantha's. I'm perfectly capable of making my own decisions. But as I hung up the phone, my mind raced. They were plotting against me. Together. John and Samantha, working in tandem to strip me of my dignity, my freedom. They wanted to take control of my life. They thought I was old, weak, and foolish. They were wrong. And I knew that if I didn't act quickly, they would succeed. They'd force me into some facility, some place where I could be looked after, and my wealth would be theirs to manage. All of it. My hard-earned money, my future, my autonomy, gone. I couldn't let that happen. Not after everything I had endured. Not after everything I had fought for. The next day, Samantha confronted me. She stood in the kitchen, her arms folded, her expression that of someone who knew they had won. I could see the arrogance in her eyes, the belief that she was in control. She had probably imagined that I would back down, that I would apologize for my hardness, that I would go back to being the mother she could manipulate. But I wasn't the same woman anymore. I had changed, and she was about to learn that. I don't want to fight anymore. Mom, Samantha said, her voice soft and disarming. I just want you to see that I'm trying. I'm really trying. I want us to be okay. We've been through so much. I'm worried about you. I know what you're doing, I said, my voice steady. You're not trying to help me, Samantha. You're trying to control me, just like he is. Her face faltered for just a second, but she quickly regained composure. That's not true. I love you, Mom, but you're not yourself anymore. I'm just looking out for you. I laughed bitterly. Looking out for me? Or looking out for yourself? The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. For the first time in years, I saw the crack in her armor. She didn't know how to respond. She had thought I'd cave in, that I'd apologize for being too controlling, but I wasn't backing down. Not this time. I was done being her victim. Done being their pawn. The next few days passed in a haze. I kept my distance from Samantha. I knew what she was planning. She had already set her sights on what she wanted. My money, my house, my life. But what she didn't know was that I had already begun to take steps of my own. I started looking into my finances, everything I had worked for, and making plans. I wasn't going to let her or John take anything from me. But even as I did, I felt a sense of dread creeping up on me. What if it was already too late? What if they had already set everything in motion? The battle had just begun, and I had no idea where it would take me. But one thing was clear. They were about to learn just how far I was willing to go to protect everything I had. The days dragged on, and every moment felt heavier than the last. I couldn't escape the overwhelming feeling that I was being suffocated by Samantha, by John, by their manipulations. It was as if the walls were closing in on me, and the only way out was to fight my way through it. Samantha, despite her earlier